The US is replacing China in Walmart. Hey everyone, it's Wolfgang. So Walmart has rolled out a new program to replace Chinese products with US made products. I'm going to explain the new program in this video. Up to 80% of Walmart sold goods were from China as recently as 2023. And that is now changing. We all sort of know why, or at least we think we know why that's changing, but Walmart is grabbing the bull by the horns, and they are swapping out Chinese products for US made products. So a little history. How did an American company like Walmart that was founded in Arkansas become a Chinese retailer? Because, you know, if 80% of the stuff you sell is from China, you are a de facto Chinese retailer. So how did that happen? Well, President Nixon opened up China in 1972. President Nixon visited China. The motive by the US, because communism is sort of hostile, adversarial, authoritarian. It's totally different from Western democracies. You know, all of Europe, the United Kingdom, most of South America, most of Central America, North America, democratic, right? Australia is democratic, Singapore is democratic, India is a democracy. The vast number of successful countries on the planet are democracies. So, and President Nixon wanted to sort of move China along towards a better path. He visited China in 1972. The motive by the US at the time was for China to become less hostile, develop a market economy, and then to abandon communism. That was the motive. Okay, so that failed, right? That did not work at all. The only thing that changed was China grew somewhat of a market economy, and it's somewhat askew. It's a little bit ASKEW, somewhat askew market economy, because there's still central command at the top dictating what the economy must do. So China is still hostile, right, with Taiwan. We all know about that. They ally with some of the worst countries on the planet: North Korea, Iran, Russia. And Hong Kong has been turned into a failure. Hong Kong was a representative democracy. No longer. It's become communist. So that's been a failure too. So Nixon had good intentions. It did not work, right? So China uses slave labor. There are 6 million, that's the most recent estimate, slaves in China being forced to work for nothing. So the U.S. put an end to that. We fought a civil war over that almost 200 years ago in 1860. About 185 years ago. China still has 6 million slaves. And they do have a minimum wage for other citizens. In Shanghai, it's not a national minimum wage. It's sort of an ad hoc minimum wage. It varies throughout the country. It's not like the national minimum wage in the US. But they do have some cities with minimum wage. Shanghai has the highest minimum wage for citizens. It's $385 a month. That's $2 an hour. You know, it's $16 a day if you work an 8-hour shift. And the expectation is most of those people are working 10, 12-hour shifts. So they're making less than $2 an hour. So, but meanwhile, those slaves and those $2 an hour people, they're manufacturing $1,000 iPhones. They're manufacturing $250 Air Jordan sneakers. So I have worked with a lot of people in Silicon Valley because people come from all over the world to work in the high-tech companies in Silicon Valley, in the San Francisco Bay Area of Northern California, right? So I've worked with a ton of people from Taiwan, Hong Kong, Singapore, Malaysia, China. They tend to be very intelligent, really cool people. And so this kind of stuff, this is not a long-term plan for success, having slaves and keeping people's wages down, because there is a policy in that country to keep wages low, because the idea that China latched onto, because China is still a hostile country. They're being hostile with Taiwan. They support North Korea, Iran, Russia, China adopted the J.D. Rockefeller method to hollow out. Have you ever heard that term before? Hollowing out? Have you ever heard the idea that the U.S. manufacturing base has been hollowed out? So that's the J.D. Rockefeller method that was adopted by China to hollow out the manufacturing and production capacity of Western countries, because China probably saw Western democracies, democracies in general, as a threat to them. That's why, that's part of the reason why there are so many homeless people in the United States now. It's part of the reason why there's so little manufacturing, because the J.D. Rockefeller approach was enter a market, find out what competitors charge far less than they do, wait for them to go out of business, raise prices, and get all their customers. China has sort of adopted this to weaken the countries they see as a threat. That would include any democracy. So, because it's not just the United States that has lost manufacturing and production capacity. European countries, the UK, so many countries have been undercut by this $2 an hour or slave labor practice that's been going on in China. So that is coming to an end. The days of that tactic, that J.D. Rockefeller tactic that China has been using for a couple decades or longer, that is coming to an end, right? Because if you think about it, if we're willing to pay $1,000 for an iPhone made by slaves or $2 an hour employees, if we're willing to buy $250 Air Jordans made by the same type of people, then surely we're willing to pay a little more for products made in the U.S. The markups on these are artificial. A lot of this is just pure profit. It allows these companies to have very high overhead for marketing. So the days of exploiting your own citizens is coming to an end for China. Coming to an end. So, and Walmart is pivoting away from China. Now, Amazon is not. Okay, Amazon is not pivoting away from China. But Walmart has introduced a new program called Grow With Us. Grow with US. Grow with the United States. It was just announced this month, April 2025. They have a goal. They have a couple goals, actually. One goal is they want to support the creation of 750,000 U.S. jobs. They want to invest $350 billion over the next 5 years in sourcing products from the United States, not from China, right? So Grow With Us is a new initiative launched by Walmart this month, and it's all free. If you're, this is such a cool story. This pivoting away from China towards U.S. manufacturing, it is such a cool story. And I guess it's not surprising that Walmart, which is a U.S.-based company, it was founded here, would be one of the first companies to do this. So this is a free initiative. If you're a small business owner, if you're an entrepreneur, if you're a small manufacturer in the U.S., you can get involved with the Grow With Us program for free. There are a lot of moving parts to this Grow With Us initiative, so I'd encourage you to look this up online. I will mention a few of them, okay? There's something called Supplier Academy that consists of 4 e-learning modules. You can find out what the Supplier Academy is by reading up on it online. But basically, if you are a supplier of products that could be sold in retail, this is where you'd want to start there. You'd want to go through these 4 modules in the Supplier Academy. Walmart is offering mentoring by retail industry experts. As part of this free initiative, Walmart Fulfillment Services, shipping, right? There's also something called Walmart Marketplace to train people to sell on the Walmart website. There's also something called Walmart Marketplace Capital. Walmart will give cash advances to get you up and running up to $5 million. So Walmart is pivoting away from China. And they have introduced a free program to help U.S.-based companies become suppliers to Walmart. Now, Amazon is sort of going in the opposite direction. Amazon this morning announced that they were going to, see if I can remember this right. They're going to show the price of a product, and they're also going to show the price of a markup because of U.S. tariffs. And so that's a little bit controversial. I think everyone understands why that might be controversial. Walmart is sort of going in a different direction. Walmart is pivoting to replacing Chinese products with U.S.-based products because the hollowing out of our manufacturing and productive capacity in this country has led to massive homelessness. If you've ever been to California, that's where we're from originally. The homelessness problem there is astonishing. It's just, there's no other way to describe it. It's just astonishing what the homelessness is like there. And it's duplicated in other places in this country. It hasn't always been that way. When there was manufacturing and production capacity in the United States in larger quantity, the homelessness problem, I don't even remember this being even ever talked about. I mean, the size of it now is just, so Walmart is attempting to pivot away from a country that, China has been using the J.D. Rockefeller approach to weaken democracies, industrialized nations for a long time. And so Walmart is saying, there's a better way. And here's the better way. We're going to offer free help for U.S.-based manufacturers and companies to sell through Walmart retail stores, Walmart's website, and through Sam's Club. And there's a lot of free resources they're offering, including giving a cash advance of up to $5 million. And that's not free money. That's an advance on getting you started in selling through Walmart. So it's a really cool story. It's just a fantastic story. And I think this will catch on because, the vast majority of people haven't really thought about the hollowing out, the displacement, the loss of all the U.S. jobs, the loss of manufacturing jobs, and so on. These tactics, China will have to abandon at some point. Right now, they are being isolated. They don't realize what's going on. They have been rug pulled, basically, because you cannot take all the manufacturing capacity from all the democracies. You can't do that because it's too destabilizing for the world population. The world population needs sort of a balance, and right now things are out of balance because this one country has been sort of stealing all the manufacturing capacity, and that is coming to an end. It will be slow, it'll be incremental, but it is coming to an end. And if we are willing to pay $1,000 for an iPhone, $250 for a pair of sneakers made in these countries, they can surely be made for less money here in the U.S. and not have to be shipped. And in fact, Apple is relocating manufacturing to the U.S. So this is a really cool story. I highly recommend you guys look up Grow With Us by Walmart, this new initiative. It's free. It's going to be, there are going to be tons of people who are going to take advantage of this. And the 80% of Walmart goods from China is going to start dropping. It's going to start dropping. It's a really good story. We need jobs in this country. We need to solve our homelessness problem. And this is one step in that direction. So if you have any questions about this, please post questions in the comments. I'd be happy to answer them. And I really want to thank everyone for watching and have a great day.